to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with our wildlife segment about the whooping crane and its migration habits. Next, we'll have a story about the history of the railroad and its movement west. Then we'll have a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with a look at Fort Larned and its purpose along the Santa Fe Trail. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good morning and welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Goodrich, reporting to you this morning from the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley, my hometown. Hope you'll come and join us sometime. And why am I hanging out here? Well, because the IHOP is open now. So not only are a lot of my favorite folks here, but we've got some great eats. So stop in and see us and tell them that Around Kansas sent you. And we're just so happy to see you come and visit with us. Okay, it's that time of year, folks. Lots of stuff going on. And I have to tell you about the big Kansas road trip. And Wallace County, Sherman County, and Cheyenne County are the hosts this year. So it's going to be pretty darn exciting. So, of course, the Fort Wallace Museum has a lot going on, and we are looking forward to having you. And just came as a kind of a surprise, a last-minute deal, but our good friend Michael Martin Murphy is going to be kind of our guest host for that event. So we're just thrilled that he's going to be able to join us. This is our ad in the travel guide. So come and see the statue of William Comstock, our sculpture of Roman nose, our barbed wire art, and so many other things. We'll have a lot of stuff going on. So make sure you come join us. Okay, the books have been piling up. So this morning I've got to tell you about some books. And as you know, my work is history. So most of what I do is read history, primary sources, historic books. I don't get to read many novels anymore, but I've got some awesome ones here. Okay, a couple of these are by Kansas authors. Fallen Trees by Stan Finger. This is wonderful. He is a fantastic writer, a journalist, has worked with the Wichita Eagle, is a Pulitzer Prize nominee. So it's not just my opinion that he's a good writer. The folks at the Pulitzer Committee think he is too. This is a beautifully written book. I just can't say enough about how good this is and how folks in Kansas are going to relate to the setting and so much of it. Good job, Stan. This is really wonderful. Okay, and another one, this is a first-time novel from Connie Faith Cooley. Now this is sort of a coming-of-age story, and it's a beautiful, loving book about a girl finding herself, finding God. It's just, again, a really wonderful book. I think it's available on Amazon. I know that Stan's book is available on Amazon as well. Okay, so my interest and expertise in Wild West history led me to strike up a friendship with David David Huffstetler. Okay, David is a native North Carolinian, and so even though I'm actually a native Virginian, I was born on the North Carolina side of the line because that was the closest hospital. He's closer to the North Carolina, South Carolina line, and now lives in South Carolina, but he loves the West as well, and he has written quite extensively on Western topics, gunfighters, that sort of thing. So he sent me this book to review, and it's called Gunman. This novel is really a quick read, folks, and for the guys out there that don't have a lot of patience, I think you're going to love this. Plus, he has a lot of compassion for John Wesley Hardin, which not a lot of people do. So that's pretty interesting. And he actually reached out to me because of some comments I made about Jesse James. I believe it was on American Experience where I was interviewed about Jesse James and how he was created by his time. John Wesley Hardin came of age during Reconstruction. So David, and I think makes the point well, that John Wesley Hardin was also created by the age in which he lived. So 3 novels I would really recommend, and you know, summer's not far around the corner, folks. You know, all those summer reading lists, put these on it. Hey, we got a great story for you, great shows today, lots of great stuff coming up, so stay with us.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
I don't know if you can see them behind me, but there are actually some geese in flight just right by me here inside the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center. So it's a perfect time to talk about migration of birds. And of course, Kansas is smack dab in the middle of those great migration paths. And there's been a lot of notice lately of the sandhill cranes, the whooping cranes, of course the ducks and the geese, and just all kinds of birds in the sky that are hopefully coming home for the summer months. And maybe that means that winter's over. Let's hope. Let's take a look at some of those birds and their migration habits.
Whooping cranes are whooping their way northward. They have been sighted over Kansas, first 4 adults on March 23rd and another dozen the next day. We see birds all the time, lots of them, and lots of species. So what is the big deal about a few cranes? First, the whooping crane is huge, around 5 feet tall with a wingspan of 7 feet. But its rarity is what makes it special. The whooping crane is one of the rarest North American birds. The long-legged bird can be spied wading in marshes and wetlands. Adult birds are mostly white, with black extending the length of the outer wing feathers below. The crown is dark red, and a black mustache extends from the bill to the lower face. The overall shape of the bird reminds one of a heron or an egret, but more robust. Never an abundant species, the total population has dwindled due to hunting pressures and habitat loss to a low of 16 birds in 1941. During that same period, there were 2 main populations, a migratory flock in central North America and a non-migratory flock in Louisiana. The Louisiana flock quickly died out, leaving only the migratory population, which breeds in Canada and winters on the coast of Texas. The current population is estimated to be around 600 birds. Whooping cranes occur regularly each fall at Quivira, from late October through the month of November. Each fall season varies in terms of the total number of cranes reported, but the average through the season is 30 to 40 birds. Although sightings of 10 to 12 birds in one flock occur occasionally, most group sizes average 2 to 5 birds. Most occur overnight and are gone from the area by mid-morning. A few groups or individuals may stay a week or more before moving on. Also, during some years, a whooping crane may linger into December or the new year.
Welcome to Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in Oakley, Kansas on I-70 at exit 76. I-70, after all, is America's Main Street, and we're right here on Main Street for you. Now that I'm an Oakley resident, I still come in almost every day, and I sit and listen to the conversations of the people around me. You know, the guys who are talking about the big elk they just bagged, or the folks who are taking their kid to college for the first time. People just traveling up and down the highway. Real people, just like you and me. And they find just what I find here, real people to serve them. There's history, there's scenery. We hope you'll stop and see us soon. Welcome to Oakley.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call. We can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
So much of Kansas history, and that of the West, rides on the rails and trails. Commerce and trade between the East and Santa Fe guided the course of settlement. The railroad inched westward, supplanting the stagecoaches, steamboats, and mule teams that had carried passengers and supplies. As it moved, the end of the line was called, for a time at least, Hell on Wheels, wherever it was located. In June 1866, the Union Pacific Railroad Eastern Division arrived at Junction City, just west of Fort Riley. The town became at once the first of several prairie ports which dispensed freight and mail from the various railheads to connect with the Santa Fe Trail. By the summer of 1867, the tracks reached Fort Harker, which had changed its name from Fort Ellsworth and its location a mile north. Thus, Fort Harker became the eastern terminus of the Santa Fe Trail, taking the title from Junction City. Fort Harker's hold on the eastern terminus of the Santa Fe Trail was short-lived. By October of 1867, trains were running on a regular schedule to the newly established town of Hays City, and immediately the little municipality near Fort Hays assumed the title of the Santa Fe Trail's eastern terminus. In the meantime, warehouses were disassembled, loaded onto cars, and transported to Hays City, where they were hastily reassembled to receive the incoming and outgoing freight. A freighter said, "Hundreds of freighting outfits have come to Hays City with the arrival of the railroad, and soon the surrounding country looked like a large tent city, except covered wagons took the places of tents." He continued, "During those busy days, firms remained open both night and day." Those busy days in Hays City came to a close in June 1868 when the railroad arrived at the little town of Phil Sheridan, 12 miles east of Fort Wallace. The end of the tracks town, located on the edge of a ravine, became at once the home of the ever-present commission houses, where their warehouses were quickly reassembled and business was continued within a matter of days. From Sheridan, as it was most often known, freight was shipped on a new 120-mile road through Fort Wallace and onto Fort Lyon, located on the so-called mountain route of the Santa Fe Trail. Sheridan took on the appearance of its predecessors, Ellsworth and Hays City. Said our young freighter, in many ways Sheridan was like Hays City. It had much the same Main Street, much of the same saloons and dance halls and houses of prostitution. During this period, the laying of tracks ceased because of financial troubles. Consequently, the railhead remained at Sheridan until 1869. The railroad company reorganized and renamed the Kansas Pacific Railway pushed westward to Kit Carson in Colorado Territory in 1870. This town, said the freighter, was different from the others. It was decent.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Perhaps we've seen horses with problems through the years, but I've come to find from my experience that oftentimes the problem isn't the horse, it's the rider. This poem is entitled The Problem Horse, or The Horse's Problem. Here's part 1. What's wrong with this horse? The young rider asked as he struggled with jobs for which he was tasked. She balks at the trailer, won't stand at the gates, and she doesn't move right when I want to change gates. She's skittish as heck, and she spooks at my rope. I'm beginning to think this darn mare is a dope. I'm trying to get the work done that I need, but I can't make her start upon the right lead. Disgust and frustration fooled the cowboy's discourse as he asked the question, what's wrong with this horse? Here's part 2. What's wrong with this rider, the mare must have thought, as he went through the struggles the morning had brought. Does he want me to gallop or just go at a lope? Does he know that he whacked me upside with his rope? Do we stop at the gate or go on down the fence? What the heck does he want? His cues make no sense. Is he squeezing his knees because he wants to go fast? Or is his intent different than it was in the past? The mixed signals she got caused frustration inside her, and the mare had to wonder, what's wrong with this rider? Happy trails.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and You can always email me at Corey@SureCropFertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, folks, as you're making your spring and summer plans to get outside, I hope you'll include a little bit of history with that. And a great opportunity to do so will be the Fort Larned Old Guards Digging Fort Larned. And that's at the Fort Larned National Historic Site. So basically central to a little western Kansas. My good friend Doug Scott, who is a retired archaeologist from the National Park Service, one of the leading archaeological persons, archaeologist in the country, if not the world. He's just pretty amazing. Is going to be there along with Tim Weston and Gina Powell. So let's take a look at Fort Larned and why it is so interesting and its role in not only Kansas history, but the history of the Santa Fe Trail, the state of Kansas, and the whole West. Through its primary use as a trade route, the Santa Fe Trail contributed to a vibrant cultural exchange and, over time, a lasting cultural shift as American society spread across the Great Plains. Trade on the Santa Fe brought some cultures together as much as it tore others apart. Fort Larned was right in the middle, geographically and chronologically. Fort Larned was established in response to hostilities along the Santa Fe Trail. It is a proper place for a military post, and we should be the depot of supplies for any troops acting against Indians on that line, reported Major John C. McFerrin in 1865 as construction was beginning on the sandstone buildings of the fort. Fort Larned is situated directly on the dry route of the Santa Fe Trail, which follows the Pawnee Fork of the Arkansas River. Fort Larned is just a few miles north of the wet route, which more closely follows the Arkansas. Fort Larned was one of a series of forts along the Santa Fe Trail, spaced to provide adequate protection along the entire trail. Fort Zara to the northeast and Fort Dodge to the southwest were Fort Larned's nearest neighbors along the Santa Fe Trail. Fort Hays, located nearer the railroad route that eventually eclipsed the Santa Fe Trail, was about 60 miles to the north. Fort Larned's troops patrolled the Santa Fe Trail 70 miles in either direction from the fort, and at some times escorted wagon trains down the trail to deter attacks. In time, Fort Larned and other forts along the Santa Fe Trail played their part in establishing lasting U.S. control over the Great Plains. Santa Fe Trail travelers were also trespassing on land already inhabited by tribes such as the Kiowa, Apache, Comanche, Arapaho, and Cheyenne. Although most interactions between trail travelers and American Indians were peaceful, distrust was pervasive on both sides. Wagon trains laden with supplies were high-value targets for the type of ambush attacks and raiding in which native warriors excelled. Pushed farther from productive hunting grounds and frustrated by white activities and hostility over time, many native warriors struck back to defend their homes. As trail traffic increased by the mid-19th century, episodes of violence increased in kind. Fear of being attacked was nearly a constant for travelers. Although the last wagon trail passed by well over 100 years ago, and most of the trail has been erased by newer roads, cities, and agricultural fields, there are still places where visitors can see the original trail ruts carved by thousands of passing wagons so long ago. Visitors to Fort Larned National Historic Site can view Santa Fe trail ruts at a detached park site 5 miles from the fort via gravel roads. Thanks, folks. It's been great having you with me today. We'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
And red ripe tomatoes, hand churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.